To show you just a quick introduction to basic Illustrator tools using the pen tool and some of the other basic selecting tools. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. Have some choices here: mobile, web, print, film, video. We're going to go to print, and we're going to choose letter, and then here I can choose horizontal or vertical. I'm going to choose horizontal, and then here points is just referring to the one unit of measurement, but we can say inches if you feel a little more comfortable. 8.5 by 11 inches. I'm going to say create. Here we go. I have an object here that is called the art board, and it looks like a piece of paper, right? And essentially everything that I want to print out or I want to make for my art piece needs to appear within the borders or the margins of this white piece of paper. When I draw, I can draw off of the artboard and let things hang off, but when I export it, it's only going to export what is inside of that artboard. That's important to know. All right, some basic tools over here. Your selection, your direct selection. This is a tool we're going to work with right now called the pen tool. What the pen tool does is if I click on a point and I move to another spot and I click, I'm creating a line. If I keep making points like so, like this, and I bring it to the beginning of where my line was, you can see that circle forms there, and that just means that I'm completing the shape. Right? Otherwise, see how it turns into the plus, so I can add another point along the line while I'm still using this tool. Like let's say I want to add some more points to my line. All right, but once it becomes a shape, right? I have closed it up, and that line now is created an outline here. All right, so now it's important to note that right now I have a white shape with a black outline, and I know that because I look over here. Let's actually select it first. So I've selected this tool. If I click off and I click on it with my selection tool, I need to select my object. I can see here that I have a white fill with a black outline. If I want to change the color of my fill, I just click that square forward, and I can click on any of these colors here, and it'll change the color. All right, if I want to change the outline color, which is black right now, I can click on this loop here and bring it forward, and then I can change it. Let's change it to red here. I'm going to make a red outline on my shape. So now when I click off it, I can see a very faint red outline on there, and then I see my green shape. Now, another way to look at the properties of my shape here is if I click on whatever I want to on my artboard, and I go over here to where it says properties. All right, if you don't see this properties tab in your window, it might be here at the top. You go to window, and you look here. All of these properties, all of these different adjusters over here are mirrored in this list. So like here's properties. I just click on that little check mark, and then this window will appear magically. And I can see the properties of my shape here are the fill and the stroke. I can see the colors here mirror these colors over here. And this tells me that the stroke or the outline of my shape is at 1 point width. So now if I just start to increase the stroke here, it starts to make that thicker. All right, so that's kind of cool to note. If I didn't want any stroke on the outside of my shape and I just wanted it to be green, I could hit this little box here that says no, and it would be invisible, right? Also, if I wanted to just automatically go to black and white, which a lot of people do quickly, I could click on this little default black and white. And then if I wanted to switch it so that it was a black shape with a white outline, I could also flip it like so. All right, but let's go back. So again, I'm going to click on my fill color. Let's make it blue this time. Let's go to my stroke color. Let's make it green like so. I'm going to go to my properties again, and I'm going to bring that stroke up again to like 20. All right, perfect. So let's say I want to change the shape of my object a little bit here. All right, what I can do is I can use my direct selection tool. And what the direct selection tool is, when I click off of this and I find a point, if I click on that, I notice that all the other points are white and hollow, but this one is now blue. Oops, I gotta grab it first. There we go. I can grab it like this, and I can stretch it. All right, but that's only if I deselect the whole thing and select that one point. All right, I can go to some of these. I can find the other ones along the line. Here's one. I'm going to pull it this way. Here's one. I'm going to pull it this way. Here's one here. Here's one in here. So I'm just reshaping my object a little bit. That's one way to do it. Right, another way is if I hold down on my pen tool, I see a submenu under here. I can use add anchor points, and I can add some more points to this. Or I can hold down on this, and I can delete anchor points. So let's say I don't want this one. I want it to be flat across the bottom. I can do that. I can get rid of this guy. You know, this is sometimes cleaning up your design if you have too many points in here like this. Another thing you might have noticed under the pen tool is this anchor point tool, which is like converting the direction. So this, if I grab this point and I pull to the right or to the left, I can actually change the direction of my shape like this. All right, I can soften these edges like this. So I can make this more of like a flower power sort of thing, right? Like soft and gooey edges here. All right, so that's all it is to it, right? You can sort of go around. Now you use this tool to move the whole shape. Maybe I hold down my shift key and I shrink the corners of it a little bit. I can use the selecting tool to rotate it this way. Let's say maybe I want a couple of these. So now while it's selected, I say edit copy. I say edit paste. And now all of a sudden I paste it again. I have these different shapes. If I select the individual ones like this one, I can change the color of this one. So I can change the color over here if I wanted to. There's some presets. Now that one's orange. And this one is dark blue. There we go. If you ever find yourself in this situation where your images, you can't get to the other pictures in here, look at up here, right? I don't want to be too confusing here, but just know that as you click on your objects, you can get to subsets of these different shapes, like individualized. You just want to make sure that you're at 0 up here. So that means you're working on your project like this. All right, that's all you really need to know. I would encourage you over here, this is a shape tool that lets you create different types of shapes that you could try. So like polygon tool makes a polygon, obviously. Star tool makes a star. This is your line tool. What the line segment tool does is it's different ways to draw lines. You can make a spiral, you can make a grid. Try some things out. Here's a paintbrush that allows you to paint a line. And it'll smooth it out here, right? If I look at my tool options and properties, right now it's at super smooth. I can make it less smooth like that. And now when I paint a line, it leaves it a little bit more jaggedy and doesn't quite smooth it out. So just try creating some different things. If you want to get rid of things, you just select them with your direct selection tool and hit the delete key on your keyboard, and away they go. Try using the pen tool to add points to a line, add pen tool to add points to a shape. Do whatever you have to do to just make sort of an interesting group of shapes in there. When you're ready to save, again, make sure you're always saving. We're going to say save as, just get in the habit of. We're going to look here on the desktop. So I'm going to make sure I save it on my desktop. I'm going to give it a title. And then I'm going to save it as an AI file. That stands for Adobe Illustrator. And that file simply represents an editable file in Adobe Illustrator. And you have to have Adobe Illustrator to read it. And then we'll talk about exporting later. All right. Thanks for listening and good luck.